Right now by Donald Trump, the founder and CEO of the Trump Corporation, as we take an in-depth look at a variety of stories making headlines at this hour. Donald, we welcome you to America's Forum, sir. It's good to have you along.
Good morning.
Let's begin with this story about the capture of the alleged Benghazi ringleader. President Obama announcing the U.S. had captured this man and that he will be tried in a civilian courtroom in the United States rather than being taken to Guantanamo Bay. Donald, in your mind, is this a good idea?
It's a terrible idea. They're going to read him his rights. They're going to be in court for 20 years before they do anything. It's absolutely a disgrace. It's unfair to whatever city they're going to be bringing him. This guy should be tried in a military court. They should not have to read him his rights. And frankly, it should be a very quick trial.
Well, Mr. Trump, who do you think is funding? We want to move on to the situation in Iraq for a second, and I want to get your assessment on who you think might be behind the funding for this group. ISIS talks of the Saudi funding in here and also some of our other regions in the Gulf, the Qataris. What's your take?
Well, I think a lot of our enemies are funding them, and they're obviously well funded. Then they've gone after the Iraqi soldiers who gave up like a bunch of cowards and gave them all of our equipment, so they don't need that much funding, frankly. They just took our equipment. We spend hundreds of billions of dollars on equipment, and they've taken it all. And I've been predicting for a long time that somebody, most likely, the bad guys, are going to get the oil. And if you look at this morning, they veered off course, and instead of going into Baghdad initially, they'll get that later. Don't worry about it. They decided to do the smart thing, and they took the oil. So now they have the oil, and they have lots of land, and they have lots of support, and they have lots of money, and they have our equipment. And we're a very stupidly run country.
And so we look at this situation that you just laid out for us, Donald. We should also note that the United States has made an investment in blood and treasure and with all the casualties in Iraq, but a $2 trillion investment. You've said publicly we don't need to be sending troops back in there. What do you think should happen now? Should there be some airstrikes or possible drone attacks to try and neutralize this ISIS group?
Look, we should have never been in there in the first place. I happen to be a very conservative person. I happen to be a very big military person, as you understand. I want to build up our military. We need it more than ever before because so many countries hate us. You look at what's going on. But we should never have been in there. Saddam Hussein, whether you liked him or not, all he did was kill terrorists. He would kill them like in 2 seconds. And frankly, we were a lot better off with him than the situation that you have going on right now. It's a disgrace. So we spent $2 trillion. We lost thousands and thousands of lives, not to even mention the probably millions of lives lost on the other side. When they bombed Baghdad and they said 2 people were killed, I mean, give me a break. But we lost thousands of lives. We spent at least $2 trillion. We have absolutely nothing for it. And now they've raided us. They've taken our equipment. They're killing soldiers. They're executing everybody that's in their way. The soldiers that we trained aren't committed. They're not committed, and therefore they give up, and then they're executed. So now they'll be more committed. The only good thing is now they'll be more committed because they don't want to be executed. But if you remember, and I've said it many times, we shouldn't have been there, but if we were going to be there and if we were going to, be over there, take the oil before Iran gets it or before the other militants get it. And what happened now is the worst nightmare because they've gone and they've taken the oil. They're right now in the process of taking the oil.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about oil, Mr. Trump. Apparently, as a result of what's happening in Iraq, we see a spike in oil prices. But yesterday, the federal government also released statistics about inflation, information about food, housing, and many other areas where we are seeing some dramatic inflation. Are you surprised by this?
Well, I'm not surprised because our country is a mess. Our leader is incompetent. Our country is an absolute mess, and we're laughed at all over the world. Now, I just got back from the Middle East. I'm doing a big development in Dubai. I'm doing developments in Europe. I'm doing many developments in the United States. I'm doing a big one right on Pennsylvania Avenue, the old post office, which is going to be incredible. It's going to be a hotel, and we start that next week. But I spent a lot of time in other places, and they have no respect for our country whatsoever. They have no respect for Obama, no respect for our country. They don't even view us as a factor anymore.
Donald, we talked about this earlier, that whatever happens overseas seems to be viewed through the prism of domestic politics. We're going to have a comment from Senator Mark Begish of Alaska. I'd ask you to listen to that, and then I want you to reflect on this capture politically. Does it pay off? Is it a political boon to the administration? But first, here's Senator Begish of Alaska.
Some are just on a political witch hunt, so I don't know if that will solve the problem. But I will say that bringing this person to justice and capturing, just like bin Laden, I mean, the record is getting better and better.
So he says it's like bin Laden. Do you think this will have spike the popularity for the president after the capture of the so-called Benghazi mastermind?
No, I think he's beyond popularity now in terms of, I looked at his polls today, they're the lowest. They're almost going to be record lows for any president. I mean, he's beyond that. This is something that's good. It could have happened a long time ago. This guy was walking around free, and everybody knew it was him, and they could have nabbed him a long time ago, but they got him. Now they're going to put him into a civilian court, it looks like, where they're going to read him his Miranda rights after he killed our ambassador and others. And it's just ridiculous. So, no, I don't think this will have anything to do with his popularity. I think his popularity is gonzo, and I don't think that it can come back. Between Obamacare, between a $5 billion website, you know, I don't know if you know, the final pricing seems to be $5 billion for the website. $5 billion. I do websites all the time. We do them for $12.
We know time is limited. We know you got to run. We want to get a couple more questions in real quickly, and we want to focus also on this issue of immigration. We see this stream of immigrants flooding across our borders to the south. The Obama administration has called this a humanitarian crisis. What do you think we should do about it?
Well, look, you have to either have a country or you don't have a country. And the reason they're there, and it is a very serious problem, and it is humanitarian, and, you know, I have as big a heart as anybody else, and you do too. The problem is we have such an open border that everybody from Mexico, or everybody, they just go to the border, they come over, and they see the kids, and you sort of, you know, we're taking them. And it's a real problem. But the reason is because we have such open borders. We have to build a wall like no other wall, and we have to keep everybody out. And when that happens, they will not be there, and perhaps their parents or their country will take care of them. But, you know, Mexico and others are sending their people over here so that we take care of their medical, we take care of their care, we take care of a lot of things. And our country is in debt. You know, we owe $17 trillion, and that's going up rapidly. Our country's in serious debt. We're no longer a rich country. We're actually a debtor nation. So we just can't afford it.
Donald, turning back to domestic politics, and obviously this question of illegal immigration is going to be a big question at the midterms. But looking ahead to 2016, there is no clear leader in the Republican Party. Mitt Romney held a symposium the other week. I believe he sponsored. Suddenly people are mentioning Romney's name again. Do you like the notion of Mitt Romney running again? And Donald, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about your current or potential plans for running for president in 2016. We just lost him. We just lost him. Oh, well, so it goes.
Intrigue
well,
ensues. What would Mr. Trump say about
this?
it?
Actually, it was not hostility. I guess we lost the connection, but it actually helps us. Will Donald Trump run for president? Join us next time when we have him on America's Forum to talk about domestic politics. That is an interesting way to offer a non-answer to the question.
Again, we assume it's just a kind of trouble with the connection. There are some storms in the local area, but we would have loved to get Mr. Trump's take, and of course we'll have him back. And
and this will be a question that comes up. It is worth noting that there was a symposium, I believe sponsored by a lot of the Romney alumni and supporters last weekend, and suddenly the talk begins again about a Mitt Romney candidacy for the presidency of the United States. It has seemed, with the exception of George W. Bush, if you take a look at Republican nominees through the years, those who have been successful and those who haven't, most of them, to secure that nomination and go on to the White House, have at least gone around the track one time.
Well, this would be Romney's third time, I think, around the track.
That would be.
And, you know, but this is important to note here, a couple things recently with regards to Russia, in which Romney talked about Vladimir Putin being maybe our most serious global threat right now, and also the status of forces agreement. If people can go back and look at the final presidential debate, Mitt Romney took a lot of flack for his foreign policy, whatever that might be, during the presidential election, but he talked about the need for more troops in Iraq. So, you know, folks on the right looking at that right now. What could have been?
Oh, we have
Hello?
Mr. Trump back. Hey, Donald, it's great to have you back. We got about a
You
minute.
cut me off. You obviously.
No.
We were teasing this to get you back. Here's the question, Donald. Are you taking a look at running for president in 2016?
Well, I'm looking at a lot of things. I'm doing a lot of things. We have a great company, and I'm having a lot of fun. I will say this. Our country is in serious trouble. I've never seen it like this before. We're the laughing stock all over the world. I'm going to see what happens in November. You have a big election coming up. And I do think this. I think the Republicans are going to do really, really well because of Obamacare and other things. And after November, I'm going to take a very, very serious look.
And as you take that serious look, we'll want you back on the program. Donald Trump, we thank you for your diligence reconnecting with us. So he's taking a look.
A serious look.
A serious look. Your comments on that, tweet them to us at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum.
Listen up for an